Gear Aegis CS Concerto of Simulatrix is PQube's newest 3D arena anime battler. The Gear Aegis IP has been around for a few years now, since it originally debuted on a mobile game back in 2018. Since then, we've seen several releases on that platform, and finally, consoles get their turn, with a fully built from the ground up experience tailor-made for the Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and PC. Story-wise, there are some tropes you should know heading in. The Vice has taken over the world, and only one of 20 or so young idols can take it back using the Aegis. This is a special set of gear provided to them by a secretive organization to fight back against the Vice. You'll be undertaking simulations not only versus other idols, but your friends as well, to get better adjusted with the fighting and improve your skills and overall gear and finally be able to save the planet. So yes, it does sound like some cheesy anime tropey stuff, but there's at least one good aspect to look forward to, and that is that each one of the characters has plenty of personality. Essentially, as you progress to the hexagonal single-player story, which there's plenty of other game modes that I'll be discussing in a minute, you get these visual novel type sequences that are fully voiced in Japanese, where you'll have the selected characters of any one of the plus 20 idols you decided to choose, discussing their motivations for taking on missions, their reasons for fighting, as well as to get to know more about their likes and dislikes. Alongside that, you'll also learn that all of them work in teams of 3, and you'll be shown their interactions as a team, but also as friends. It's a really nice change of pace from the hectic action during combat. Aside from the single player story, you'll also have a free battle option to go up against other characters like in typical fighting games back to back. There's also an in-depth training mode that teaches you the ropes, and even an online multiplayer option, which sadly I did not get a chance to try out. The game also offers a relatively extensive collection of stats to gather and view, but more importantly an in-game shop and customizable options. Every fight you'll be earning in-game currency, and you can spend it on the shop buying not just newer, more powerful weapons for any one of the idols, but also a wide variety of costumes exclusive to each one, accessories for decoration, and even new skill modules that will boost some of their parameters, like higher HP, higher attack, higher support, and plenty of goodies in that regard. The online will have players min-maxing these stats, so of course to be able to get the edge in the competition. The meat and potatoes of the game though lies in the single player story, where you can play as any of the idols and learn all about them. The hexagonal grid that you use to progress will feature choices, whether you want to earn in-game rewards for free, be it customizations, costumes, or pieces of armor, or take on an encounter and earn some currency instead. Combat can come in two different fronts, 1v1 or in tag team. In 1v1 fights, you'll be fighting just one of the other idols in a single round arena fight. Tag team includes the entire squad, often featured in the visual novel aspects of the story for each one of the characters versus one another. Basically, the teams of idols will be ready to take you down. As you progress through the story, more visual novel scenes will appear where you'll eventually get to fight for the championship. Combat is fast, fluid, and hectic. You can move in any of directions since you're essentially fighting in the air, and it will serve you well to keep moving to prevent enemies from being able to lock up on you. You have access to a main weapon and a sub-melee weapon. Main weapons have limited ammo counts, but there's about 15 or so different weapon types to be able to choose to, and each one of the characters has one that they specialize on, so you'll be unlocking plenty of custom weapons for pretty much any one situation. The same can be said for melee weapons, but in my experience they feel more punchy and do more massive damage if you know when to combo them with the ranged weapon options. You can change up your attacks and have the options to use two different specials that can be used sparingly, each with cooldown timers. If you're doing a tag battle, you can also build up SP to summon some of the characters that you're fighting with, kind of like in those Naruto Storm games, where essentially you can summon up a teammate, they'll dish out a powerful attack as a support unit, and eventually get off the field instantly. During these tag team fights, you'll also have the option to swap between any of the 3 characters available to you at any one time. The health gauge will refill slowly whenever they're outside of combat, basically stuff you've seen in like Marvel vs. Capcom. The weapon variety here for each one of the idols does carry some experience, since you'll eventually see all of the different playstyles vary between heavy, slow weapons and for massive damage like cannons and hammers, and fast weapons like dual pistols and lightsabers for combo light damage that eventually stacks up on top of each other. Range, damage, attack speed, and many other parameters are displayed on the weapons, so you know exactly what you're getting into before you decide to try them out. Performance on the Nintendo Switch is rather excellent. I never saw a frame drop or a hiccup or even stutter. It's certainly a solid experience all the way around, and I was able to use my PhotoFast 4K game upscaler on the Nintendo Switch to be able to play this game at 4K upscaled resolution, and it looks fantastic. I would like to thank PQube for providing me a review code, and I would also like to mention that there is some censorship done on the PlayStation version of the game. I will also mention that this game isn't really quite full of fan service or any rubbing type mini games like you have seen in other Switch games, but Sony still felt compelled enough to censor it for whatever reason, whereas the Nintendo Switch version is left untouched. Gear Aegis CS Concerto of Simulatrix is a good 3D anime arena fighter with plenty of cutesy characters who have their own stories and reasons for fighting. The combat is quick, flashy, and certainly punchy when you deck out your character in custom gear and get used to the mechanics that this fighter has to offer. Nintendo Sphere gives Gear Aegis CS Concerto of Simulatrix on the Nintendo Switch an 8 out of 10. If you're brand new to my channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, hit the bell to receive notifications when the videos go up, and as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya!